Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, Podderoonies. It is our last episode of the year. Sighs. As John Wick has now entered the Matrix in The Matrix Resurrections, apparently that's what's going to happen in this film. Look, that's what it looks like anyway to me.
Yeah. And he's going to be a lawyer as well. He's going to study law with the cyber devil.
And of course, we are doing Keanu Reeves films. And as always, I'm with our resident devil man, Boaz Dix. How are you? Giving away his film.
Yeah. I'm devilishly delightful. How are you?
Good. I'm very well. As always, we have a Buy Me a Coffee account, so if you want to say a big thank you, you can go to our show notes and click on the link, and it will take you straight to our site, and you can buy us a coffee. That would be amazing. Right, Boaz, should we go with your film first then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what you went with. What did you go with?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll play devil's advocate here. Yeah, which is the film. That's the film I played.
Nice.
Yeah, Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino.
Why the devil did you pick this one?
Why the devil did I pick this one? So I've watched this I've watched this actually like a few times, but not like very recently. So one, it was kind of I didn't want to pick one of the John Wicks. Is the thing. We've already picked a John Wick. I don't want to keep being redundant and just pick another John Wick. I could pick John Wick 1, I suppose. But I don't want to do that. And I haven't watched like a great deal of Keanu Reeves films. As an actor, I don't know, he's just never really on my radar too much, other than The Matrix.
Not the greatest actor. Really.
Not the best, yeah. It's not like I go... So I don't even know if he's been in much, really. I've watched this before. I had this on VHS. I was very scared to watch it when I was a kid, and then I watched it a few times. And I know it's classically not a good film, yeah? It's like, not in like a good, if you're talking critically, it's probably not a good film. But I can't help but really like this film. Yeah.
I could see that,
yeah. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, actually. So, if you were to say, Keanu Reeves films, point a gun against my head, I have a lot of fun with this movie, so that's kind of why I picked it.
Right.
If I were to say, his better movies, you look at The Matrix, or you look at John Wick, I'm sure he's got some and he's done a lot of like boring movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still and stuff. But to me, this has always entertained me as a movie. So
it's entertaining for sure.
It is, yeah. I think it's a guilty pleasure. It's
not in the right ways.
Sure. I think it's great. But we'll discuss it further. But yeah, so that's my pick.
So what happens in The Devil's Advocate?
It's a film where Keanu Reeves plays a lawyer from a small town called Gainesville or something. And Charlize Theron, she's like his girlfriend. So he's a great lawyer. He's a great defender, criminal defender. And he gets invited to go to New York to work for this law firm who's headed by Al Pacino, who's called John Milton in this. And he's actually the devil. And he's actually his father. And, he's engineering his stay in New York to basically bring him into the family business. Yeah, it kind of makes it life difficult. Yeah, but it's amusing.
Yes, it is amusing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's supposed to be amusing, but I found this film hilarious. I really did. I'd never seen this before, so I was really intrigued to watch this. And my God, what a film this is. Again, I'm a bit like you. I was very entertained, but just I don't think in the way the film was supposed to make me entertained. Because it was very funny.
Yeah.
But just in all the wrong ways. So, directing then. I think the first time you see something really weird that's not just the music is when Marianne, who's played by Charlize Theron, is clothes shopping with her neighbour, Jackie Heath. and there's this really awkward moment when Jackie asks Marianne to feel her tit to see if it's real or not, and it's very uncomfortable. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? Then the camera lingers on Jackie putting her top back on, and you're like, why have we not cut to the next shot yet? And then Jackie's face contorts to this like Buffy the Vampire Slayer style demon. Then as the shot comes down her body, all these like hands are like feeling her body under her skin. And I love the design of that. And I kind of wanted more of that stuff in the film.
Yeah.
But it never really came. Because it does give the film a bit of a kick up the backside, because it was starting to get a little boring at that point, because it was quite a slow burn. It's quite a slow burn, this film, which usually I like, but because Al Pacino is so obviously the devil in this, it loses its intrigue.
Yeah, you already know what's going on.
Because the film is desperately trying to tell you that Pacino is the devil. And he's like, yeah, we know, we get that. And then when Jackie turns into this demon thing in the flash, it was kind of like, oh, that was cool. You know, more of that, please.
Yeah, yeah. There was a scene that kind of happens as well. There's a little more of that with the jogging scene, you know, where the homeless guys, their faces turn into demon faces. I'm trying to think, like, one thing that I quite like about the film, and it's something that I constantly talk about anyway, is, like, transitions. And I like some transition shots here, so, you know, I'm always for that. I'll give you some, like, notable ones. There's a few that I remember. Like, one, when she's painting, Charlize Theron is painting the house.
Oh.
Yeah, she's painting it in different colours and the rollers. And it kind of, what was it? It fuses with the girl's reaction. Like, she's painting and like, basically, like, you know, I don't know, it's very hard to explain, but like...
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, she's part of that scene. It kind of transitions to her reacting to it, like paints her in. And I thought that was pretty cool. You know, that's a little one. What was another one I quite liked? You know, when they're at the party and I think a door opens or whatever, but it kind of pushes those people out of the way as if they're like on the door, you know, it pushes that scene away.
Oh, right.
You know, to the next scene, and I quite like that as well. So, you know, just small things like that, or even at the end, you know, where it gets all ridiculous and like demon statues moving and on fire, and he turned into an angel, and then he, you know, screams out, and then it like goes into his eye, and then through a pit of hell, and then out of Keanu Reeves' eye. You know, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Pretty dodgy CG.
yeah, pretty dodgy CG. Doesn't hold up.
But I quite like, well, when they were doing the whole, you know, the statues all moving, you could tell at one point there were actually actors in the wall moving, and I kind of wish we had more of that, and maybe they came out of the walls or something. They're like they were just free from the statue, if you will, like going to do something to Keanu Reeves. Probably try and shag him or something.
But yeah, no, I kind of get what you mean, because rewatching that scene, when he's talking to him and they're moving around, I was like, oh, wow. Like, you know, the effects were better than I remembered. And then when you see the CGI of them moving, you're like, Jesus Christ, that's awful. That looks like a cartoon, you know?
Yes.
The difference is night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sex scene.
Yeah.
The sex scene, my God. It didn't work for me at all. where Keanu Reeves is having sex with Charlize Theron, then it cuts between her and Connie Nielsen's character, the Italian. It wasn't sexy. It became quite funny. After each thrust from Keanu, it switches from Connie Nielsen's face to Charlize Theron's face over his shoulder, and I was like... This is not having the desired effect, people. This is like a comedy sketch. What is happening?
No, I like his reactions, actually, when he's humping. It's like, oh, it's like, you know, he just, oh, yeah, fucking hell. Instead of like, holy shit, my wife is transforming in front of my eyes.
Fuck it, I'll screw this girl as well.
Yeah, no. But I love his facial reaction, because it's just like, Keanu Reeves, like, you know, act as if somebody's given you a really, you know, they've handed you a really nice ice cream out of nowhere. He's like, nice. You know, but not like he's shagging anybody in particular. Just like, oh, yeah, this is great. Absolutely hilarious. But I think this is part of the reason why I like the film. It's so uneven, and I think that's part of its charm. Yeah. I do think there are good scenes and good practical effects, and then there's really dodgy shit. And there's really dodgy effects. There's really dodgy scenes. I think there are parts where they're good acting, and then there's when we get to acting, it's uneven. Like, people give performances where you're like, that's garbage.
Oh yeah.
But I just like the unevenness of the film, so I just think it's entertaining. But
yeah, like the dream sequence with Marianne, I didn't like much either because it quickly tells you it's a dream sequence where you have this like brilliant POV shot of her waking up, and then she walks out of the room. Then cut back to Marianne again waking up, watching herself walk out the room, and it was like, oh, okay, this is a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Something's bad is going to happen. So I don't understand why they did that, really. It makes no sense to me, but the reveal of the baby holding all the guts was a cool, like, shock moment. But it could have been so much better if I didn't know it was a dream sequence. I don't really know why they chose to do it that way, but did that scene not work for you or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it didn't scare me. And, obviously, it's a dream. I'm trying to think, like, what bit I liked that did, I think, not necessarily shock me that much, but was a good scare at least. So yeah, you said the one with the girl in the dress where she has a similar scene towards the end where she's put into a mental institution.
Connie Nielsen.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is put into a mental institution, and
the
woman fixes up her hair, and then shows her on the mirror, and then her face is like monstrous. I like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I quite like that as well. I felt it was a tad predictable that something was going to happen because, again, like the rhythm of that scene just didn't add up. I mean, it did add up, that something bad was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, did you expect her to kill herself?
Yeah, I did, to be honest.
No.
But, I mean, I thought Charlize Theron in this film was really good. To be honest, the best thing in it by a mile. Her death scene was really good. But, I mean, Charlize Theron's performance as this now, like, completely mentally broken woman is amazing. Plus her, like, progression throughout the film to get to this point was really convincing. As soon as you see all the broken glass on the floor, you know that she's going to kill herself, Well, for me anyway. Because she's just got to this terrible mental state, and all that from her performance, and Keanu, to his credit, is really good in those moments trying to save her. I think that's probably his best scene as well.
Oh yeah, by a country mile. Like I was even surprised rewatching it, where I'm like, oh my god, he can actually act convincingly sad. I was like, oh wow, where did this come from?
Have you got a favorite shot or scene?
You go first, and then I'll try and work things out.
I think in the script is where you see things coming, a mile away. But there's one scene that was quite shocking that I didn't see coming, and it's where like Lomax has gotten Cullen off for murder, Mr. Incredible.
Yeah.
And he meets Marianne in distress in a church, and she's wrapped herself in this pink duvet. When she tells Lomax that Milton has raped her, like, in their apartment loads of times, and Lomax confronts her saying that that's impossible. And then all of a sudden she gets up out of her chair and takes the duvet off, and she's fully naked with like blood and cuts all over her body. And it happens so quickly and you're not prepared for it. And it's quite a striking moment, that. I mean, I'm not sure why she would get up and do that anyway, motivation-wise, but it was still quite a shocking, striking moment. I think that was probably my favourite moment.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, and also, I would say where that girl transforms into a, we've already touched that the first time you see them in their like demon forms and stuff. That's pretty cool.
So directing score for me, I can't really bring myself to score this that highly, to be honest. We might get onto this in The Matrix, but whether effects movies get aged, whether they age much at all. Certainly the effects in this film have aged. They don't look great.
No. I was trying to think. I just remembered there was another scene where the effects looked really shoddy. Oh, yeah. Every time, like at the end, where he changes what he looks like, Al Pacino, like it turns out he's the reporter or whatever. That looked really bad. You were like, oh, yeah. Like he transformed, but you're like, oh, my God, that's really horrible. There were other scenes as well that I kind of spotted out, like even when he was out in the balcony in the dark at the party with the girl, with the other girl, the demon girl. And I was like, it didn't look like they were outside. So it was just, to me,
yeah.
It looks like you're in a stage or a sound stage. It looks like they put that back there. To me, anyway, I don't know if it's the nostalgia talking, but to me it's part of the charm of the film, where you just like, some of it looks pretty bad. And to me, I think that's kind of charming. It's kind of,
No, it looks kind of stupid. So, I mean, again, there's a lot of like unnecessary boobage as well, I think.
Dude, if you were, I'm just saying, like, I probably watched this when I was 13, stiff as a fucking board.
That's the best time to watch this film.
Yeah, I'm telling you. If you're a 13-year-old boy and you're horny as hell, and, there's so many tits in this film, just unnecessarily, just like everybody's showing a tit.
Yeah, for no reason. Oh, God. So I'll go with like a 7.2.
Oh, man, I think even that's generous. Really, that's
really
quite generous.
Okay.
I wasn't even expecting you to go that high. All right.
No, I think there are some nice moments of direction. I think you've got to give some credit. I think where this film really falls down is the script.
I quite liked also when he's walking through the street, when he's basically discovered. I get you. To his credit, how could he have not discovered it immediately? But when he finally discovers he's the devil, and he walks out and he's going to go see him. Is it Annie or Amy is behind him, one of the demons, and is like, he'll know what to do, go to your father or whatever. And he turns around and she's gone. It looks like just in one scene, and then he's going down and there's nobody on the street. And I'm just saying, when you contrast that with the rest of the film, when it's New York and it's hustle and bustle, after this huge revelation and he has to walk through New York City, through the center, and it's just deserted. That's a pretty good sequence, and it's a pretty great thing to pull off, especially, like, how do you pull that off but fuck up statues? But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they've used half their budget just trying to close that whole street down.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty impressive. I was like, oh man, that's...
Yeah, I quite like that. So what score are you going with for directing?
I was gonna go like 6.9 or 6.8 or something like that, or somewhere in the sixes. But I'm gonna go a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
For nostalgia.
Yeah, for nostalgia. Okay. I think if you had asked me a few years ago, and even rewatching it and saying these bits are bad, they bring back so many memories that in my head before I rewatched it, it was like a 9, and I'm like, nah, that's probably not. It's not that. No.
Okay, screenplay then. This film has very Rosemary's Baby vibes going on here. A young and up-and-coming couple move to New York, and there's just a very, subtle, creepy atmosphere going on. Marianne, played by Charlize Theron, is struggling to adapt to life in New York, and she asks for advice from one of her neighbors and says, "You got 3 choices, the Holy Trinity. You can work, you can play, or you can breed." And I was like, is she trying to tell her to just have a sex life? Or is this a Rosemary's Baby kind of situation here?
Yeah.
Then there's a line from the neighbour's husband, Lehman Heath, at the party. And he says, "I say we ride them as far as we can, and then we eat them." And I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Ride them as far as we can, and then eat them?
Yeah.
Eat who? Eat what?
I think that's the thing, like... It's meant to be business to, you chew them up. But they are actual demons, so, they could be actually talking about. But I do love, all the backstabbing, wicked talk that they're talking about as lawyers when the camera just goes through the room. And even one of the guys is like, talk to him on the phone and make sure to record everything. It's like, you're just being assholes, being conniving, joking about it. To me, I think one of my favorite characters in this film, and a lot of his lines are great. I think he's a great character. He's a well-written character, in my opinion, anyway. Is like Al Pacino as the devil. I just think he's quite...
Milton. Yeah,
Milton is just really cool. He always comes out with, words of wisdom and turns of phrase, and I just quite like his writing. I even use some of it still sometimes. The worst vice is advice. It's just really kind of really cool stuff.
That's cool,
yeah. I send you as sheep amongst the wolves.
Hey, I'm James Lovino, and I'm here to tell you about Alternate Sides, a movie podcast with a twist. I've worked in the film business for 2 decades, but I haven't actually seen that many movies, and this has been driving my frequent collaborator, Sam, a self-confessed film snob, crazy. So every week, while he's stuck in his car trying to avoid getting a parking ticket, thanks to New York City's alternate side parking regulations, we discuss a classic film I've finally just gotten around to seeing. Alternate Sides, a new podcast about movies, parking, and a 25-year friendship, wherever you get your podcasts.
Al Pacino is having the time of his life in this movie. But, I mean, I guess pretty early on that Al Pacino is playing the devil. You know, he says things like, "Look at me, underestimated from day one. You'd never think I was the master of the universe. Now, would you?"
Yeah.
You know, he speaks several languages at the party. There's these ancient paintings on the wall, and Lomax finds out, you know, there's no bedroom in the apartment.
Oh, I love
this
that.
Is like less than an hour in the film. The only thing missing is like the red horns on his face and a sign saying, "I am the devil."
Yeah. No, but I love that scene where he basically says to him, he goes to his office, he's like, "Where's his bed?" He's like, "He doesn't have one." "Well, where does he sleep?" "Who says he sleeps?" "Well, where does he fuck?" And then Al Pacino comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Everywhere."
It's just ridiculous. Oh,
brilliant.
God.
I love it.
I mean, but what I didn't see coming is the fact that Lomax was Milton's son. That was a kind of a cool twist because, again, I think the film was never really hiding the fact that Al Pacino's character was the devil.
No.
Because it just wasn't subtle at all.
No.
But this reveal was a bit out of the blue, but it kind of makes sense because Milton has been manipulating Lomax this whole time so he can fulfill his true potential, you know, in becoming this horrible lying lawyer. Then Milton reveals himself as his father, and it's like a nice family reunion. Then again, in this like podcast, we find another film where the sex scene was actually incest.
Yeah.
You know, Connie Nielsen's character was his sister.
Which is pretty weird because there's one bit where he gets quite jealous of like Al Pacino because it's the first time he's been formally introduced to her. Yeah. And, you know, they're talking on the balcony where I said it looked pretty much green screen. And he's getting on, and she's like, "Are you sure, you know, your wife won't get jealous and all this shit?" And John comes out of nowhere, and like, you know, he's touching her and rubbing her and shit. So it's like, does he fuck his daughter? You know, he must do. You know, I mean, he's the devil. Who cares? You know,
yeah, it's weird.
He's evil.
But then it gets really ridiculous. No, it's not just a family reunion so they can rule the world. No, Lomax has to shag his own sister to create the Antichrist to rule everything.
Yeah.
But Milton can only do it with free will, and not for one moment did I think this is going to happen. But what I didn't see coming was Lomax shooting himself, and then it's like shoddy CGI galore.
Yeah.
Then the writer just goes, "Fuck it, he can just...
time travel!
just be dead and go back in time." Yeah. When he was a lawyer in Florida and make it a nice Hollywood happy ending. Then the writer takes another tequila shot as he's writing this film. Thinks, "I know, let's make the annoying press guy turn into Al Pacino."
Yeah.
Look to the camera and say, "Vanity, definitely my favorite sin." And I was in stitches laughing my head off. Yeah. Wow, what a movie. Yeah, I was like, this is hilarious.
I think it's brilliant because, you know, when we talk about like movie twists and stuff, you know, and I think the great twist...
It makes no fucking sense. No,
I'm just saying this. Put aside your brain for a moment, yeah? Just think how great this is. Every time you talk about a good twist, and a movie needs a good twist at the end, and most movies, even after they have a good twist, they have maybe a second twist to keep you on your toes. This film is like... Twist, he's the devil. Twist, he's your father. Twist, you can produce the Antichrist. Twist, you've killed yourself. Twist, the devil has gone back in time to have another go at this. And twist, he's actually the press guy. That's 6 fucking twists crammed into the last 10 minutes.
Oh, God. I swear the writer of this was drunk at the end.
I think he was high as a kite. I think he was on every drug known to man.
Oh, it just makes no sense. And
that's why it's brilliant. It
doesn't work.
That's why it's brilliant. I've got to disagree.
Brilliant is a strong word.
That's right. It's the best movie ever made.
Oh, God. But, I mean, you know, there are some amazing lines in this film. Like, some really disgusting ones as well from Al Pacino.
Oh, yeah. Al Pacino's great in this.
I'm the hand up Mona Lisa's skirt. Yeah. I'm a surprise, Kevin. They didn't see me coming.
Yeah.
Lloyd, as your attorney, I'm advising you to keep the fuck away from me. I'm thinking, why don't we put you on the stand so you can jerk off to the judge?
I like, what was it, where he admits to having, you know, sex with his wife or girlfriend or whatever, and he's like, you know, what did you do to her? What did you do to Marianne? And he's like, On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most sexually depraved act known to man, and 1 being your casual, rendezvous at the Lomax residence. Not to be modest, we got it on at about a 7, like that.
Yeah, no, but he says the 7 in a
Yeah,
weird
he does.
voice.
7, like that. It's brilliant.
That was hilarious. Yeah, I had that moment in acting as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Free will isn't in a bitch.
Yeah.
I think my favourite line, though, is part of Al Pacino's speech near the end.
Yeah.
And he says, every one of them getting ready to fist fuck God's ex-planet.
Yeah, lick their fingers clean. Right up their next billable fucking hours. I love that. Do you know I had that speech memorized?
So dirty. Really?
I literally had that speech memorized one time. But I kept saying it to myself. I was like, that is great. Kept saying it to my brother and saying it to other people. I thought it was a great speech.
Is that speech your favourite line?
Yeah, I think that full-on speech is like my favourite thing, yeah. Do you remember, actually, this other line I want to say is like, where he asks him, like, why lawyers? Why get in the law? And he's like, because it's the ultimate backstage pass. We're in everything. And then we're going to get acquittal after acquittal after acquittal until the whole stench of it, fucking, like, what was it? Like, it's like they kill them up in heaven, do you know what I mean? Everybody in heaven dies from the stench of it. I just thought it was, it's great.
Apart from the great lines in this, the film ain't great.
No.
The screenplay isn't great at all.
I think you're kind of right. It's kind of badly paced. It does drag. There are a lot of things that don't make sense. I think there are a lot of lines that are also, like, piss poor, like, really bad. Yeah?
Al Pacino gets all the best lines.
Yeah, Al Pacino gets amazing lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most other lines, they're kind of either repetitive, redundant, a bit on the nose, or just like really cheesy. So there's a lot of stuff you can, that's just completely pointless. But,
I don't think this film falls into the category it's so bad it's good. I don't think. I think it's just bad,
all right.
in my opinion.
We're going to have to disagree there. Yeah, even on a rewatch, I was still like, yeah, man, this was...
I mean, the end is just absurd and makes no fucking sense whatsoever to me. I mean, I've only seen it once, but I mean, come on, like, sober up before you write this film.
Watch it drunk. Watch it drunk. You'll have a ball of a time. I think if it makes you laugh, it's a good thing. I'll
go 6.4.
Really?
Yes.
If I were to say, just based on Al Pacino's lines alone, I think he's one of my favorite devils. I think he loves hamming it and chewing up the scenery. He's just incredible. I love his smile. Love his all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's great. I love everything he does there. And, Charlize Theron, as I said, I kind of like how she goes crazy and stuff, and her stuff. So if I were just to go on Al Pacino's lines, I would give this like a 10. I would give this an 11.
Okay.
But if I went on like, other things with the script, like story structure and other characters and stuff, I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably go like, I don't know, like, even very low, maybe like a 5.8 or something. So I'm gonna kind of meet it in the middle because I really like those lines, really like that. So I'm gonna give it like I'll give it like a 7 actually. I'll still give it a 7.
Right, acting then. First thing, Keanu Reeves biting Charlize Theron's ass is a bit much in a club. I thought I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Steady on, dude. You'll get kicked out for that. Maybe it's different in the South.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say another thing in the script. I like the bit where... sorry, I just got to mention this quick. Where he's hanging out with Kevin, or, he's Lomax, Neo, whatever, Keanu Reeves. And, he's seeing him talk and stuff, and they're at this pub or whatever, restaurant. And how he just whispers to this girl's ear, and she just goes down on him, like, in front of everybody. And he's just smoking a cigar, like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, I had that in acting. Al Pacino is just having the best time as the devil in this film. The scene before, like, Lomax and Milton go out at night to this, like, boxing match and then to this Spanish club, and he's dancing with these flamenco dancers. Al Pacino is so funny in that moment with this girl. Yeah, and it's just like, yep. Go to town, at the end. It's weird. In the middle of the restaurant, where everyone can see, he doesn't give a fuck.
No, smiling his ass off. Yeah.
We kind of covered a lot of acting.
I think
already.
we did. I think we're bound to, because I think this film cannot stand under its own weight. You know, without Al Pacino, we have nothing to talk about. It just crumbles under its own weight. So I think we've got to inevitably keep talking about his performance. But
I think the only other thing I've got down that we haven't talked about is if you wanted an extra clue that if you weren't sure, 100% sure that Al Pacino is the devil, is when Lomax's mother, Alice, played by Judith Ivey, comes to visit and she's all happy to see her son. But when they bump into Al Pacino in the elevator, her expression just flattens for no reason. But obviously later you know that they slept together in the past. And it's already established that she's very religious, so the only reason she's acting like that in a glum way is because Al Pacino is the red-headed dude, red horn dude.
The horny dude.
So, So obviously when I watched that for the first time, without knowing what was going to happen, I just got the connection that because she's a very religious person that she could just sense that he was the devil immediately. But yeah, I thought that actress was quite good in the film as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Favourite performance, Boaz?
Yeah, man, it's got to be Al Pacino.
Mine is actually Charlize Theron.
I knew you would probably pick that, actually. I knew you'd pick that. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I am a big Charlize Theron fan. I think she's amazing in everything.
Yeah, I mean, she is brilliant. She is brilliant. And I think she's better than Keanu. And I do like her descent into, insanity. I mean, this stuff is crazy and it's very believable that this is crazy and worrying and scary and frightening. And she cries, she's panicking, It's all very believable, which she's a great actress. I would still give it to Al Pacino just because he's so much fun. I think she gets all the best sad, worrying, dramatic stuff. He just gets to have a lot of fun, and he's got the good time. He's having a devil of a time. He's the devil, And I think I just love watching his scenes over and over again. Yeah, they're just full of so much energy.
I do get the sense that some of his acting is a bit over the top.
Oh yeah, no, it is. He's really hamming it up.
It's not subtle at all.
It's not subtle at all.
I don't know whether they would.
I think it's intentional.
I just can't work out whether they were just trying to make it ridiculously obvious, literally from the poster, that he is the devil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the film is called The Devil's Advocate. He stood up, in the. Yeah. There are lines where it's like, why don't you go to hell and stuff like that, which is kind of really on the nose.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, he is definitely the devil. He is 100% the devil. Yeah, I don't think they're really being that subtle about it.
I'll go. I think, Charlize Theron, Connie Nielsen are really good in the film. Keanu Reeves is fine. And Al Pacino is Al Pacino. So I'll go 7.7. A tad generous.
Whoa! Holy numbers. A lot of holy numbers. I got a 7.7. 7. Yeah, however he says.
So what are you going with for acting?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh man, I'll go. Yeah, fuck it. I'll go 7.7 as well. Let's make it all biblically in alignment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, let's add up the scores then for The Devil's Advocate. The Devil's Advocate gets 43 points. Right down the bottom somewhere.
In hell. Down to the basement of hell.
In 60th.
Really?
60th place.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I mean, Satan.
With Enter the Dragon and The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay. You were pretty harsh on this one. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. It was just so funny, That's my problem with... Well, I had an amazing time, but I didn't think I would be laughing. Right, my choice then for Keanu Reeves films was a really easy choice for me. I didn't really have to think about this choice too much at all. I went with The Matrix. One of the best films of all time, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. And to be honest, it's a cheap pick. It's obviously going to win. It's I think if you put it in even sci-fi movies or anything that it's tangentially linked to, you know, I'd pick The Matrix, you know. I think it's one of the most influential films ever made, especially during our time of being alive, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Point Break came close. That's a great film as well. I do like that.
Yeah, it's not going to beat The Matrix, though. Yeah, I like Point Break, but again, it's not anywhere close in my estimation to The Matrix. If I had to pick any of Keanu Reeves' movies, and you know, if there's The Matrix there, I'm picking The Matrix. You know? It's just you got there first. You know?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was my pick to go first.
I think the thing is, like, because all I could think is, damn, you son of a bitch, because it doesn't matter what I pick. And it's the thing, you picked the first Matrix as well, which of course you're going to. But if you had picked, like, you know, Matrix Reloaded, I would have picked The Matrix and just been like, you know.
Oh, yeah. Just have a Matrix episode.
A Matrix off, yeah.
So you're just like, oh, fuck it, I'll just pick the stupid one.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if I'm going to fail, I might as well fail hard. I might as well, you know.
It was fun, though. So what happens in The Matrix? Well, we kind of start off with this amazing action scene. On face value, it looks like a superhero action scene, like they're superheroes or something. And then we get introduced to a character called Mr. Anderson. And he has been on the hunt for this character called Morpheus. And Mr. Anderson is very much a computer hacker by night and just like a computer programmer by day for this tech company. And he keeps getting these phone calls from a guy who ends up being Morpheus. And he kind of tries to get them both to meet so they can, you know, tell him the truth about what the Matrix is and the real world, etc. But he gets caught up with the agents and they get to him first and put this like horrible bug thing in his belly button. And I swear after this film, when I watched it the first time, I was checking my belly button a few times. I'm like, yep, it's fine. It's cool. And then, you know, when they finally do meet, Morpheus explains that this world is a computer-generated world. It's all fake. It's all digital. It's not real. The real world is like a wasteland now, a desert wasteland. And AI is taken over and are trying to hunt down the rest of the human race to kill everyone and try and destroy the last city in Zion. So Morpheus tells Neo, well, his real name is Neo, and that he is the One. There is a prophecy that has been told that the One will return to save humanity from the machines.
Yeah, also don't forget that most of the humans that exist are connected to the Matrix, and they are... So they're not just doing it for shits and giggles, the machines. They're using human beings as a power source, as batteries.
Yeah, there's a lot to explain in this film.
Yeah. When you first watch this film, and you actually, like, it's very hard to say go in blind, because this film is such a, you know, has the hugest cultural impact. But there are still people that I don't think know anything about The Matrix, or know very little. It's like, oh, it's that action film, you know, whatever. And, you know, The Matrix 4 is coming out. You know, if you know somebody who's never watched it, doesn't understand it, put The Matrix 1 on and don't tell them what the fuck it's about. Yeah, that's the best way to watch it. 'Cause it's really trippy.
Yeah, basically this is a very, like, sci-fi modern, postmodern tale of, you know, the One prophecy kind of storyline that we've kind of seen a lot through the years. Like, obviously recently we've had Dune, that was obviously based on a book 50 years ago, which is all, you know, the One storyline, and you know, and obviously Star Wars kind of has that kind of thing going on as well, which was influenced by Dune, and this is no different in its core storyline.
I think you can go back to, you know, the One storytellings, the pinnacle One story of our, like, culture, you know, of humanity is the one of Jesus Christ, you know. So and this is a very much like a digital retelling, a very modern sci-fi view of the Christ story. That's like, you know, he's very Christ-like.
It's also interesting with just the story of the making of this film as well, because the Wazowskis were pretty much painter and decorators before they made this film. You know, they pitched this idea to Warner Brothers, and if they said, like, no to them, they were like, okay, we won't make it. We'll just go back to painting and decorating. And they're like, hang on, whoa, wait. we'll give you the money and make this film,
Yeah. Apparently, didn't they do that with like every change that Warner Brothers wanted to make? It's like, we're not going to let you direct it. Okay, fine. We don't direct it. You don't have it. We'll go back. Oh, could you make a change there? No, okay, that's fine. We'll go back to painting and decorating. Which is a great way to get your film done exactly as you want. Like, no compromise.
Maybe silly question. What did you make of this one then, Boaz?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as I said, I've watched this film probably more times than I can count.
Yeah,
its cultural impact, is just immense, and its connective tissue. Like, basically, for most action films since then, with bullet time and all this other stuff, it's just seeped in, and films that question the nature of reality and stuff. And I mean, it still holds up. You watch it and you're like, wow, this is still really good,
Yeah, it really is, yeah. Even though it brought forth a new generation of conspiracy theorists as well.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but there we go. It's a byproduct.
Yeah, it's a byproduct. I think if you do anything as heady as this, I think the great thing as well is it's very philosophical, but at the same time, it's having fun. It's also just a popcorn movie, that you can just like, man, the cool visuals. But there's some really deep stuff in here, Yeah.
And I love playing like the PS2 game, Enter the Matrix. I was addicted to that game.
That was great. Yeah, I played that quite a lot. Did you ever play Path of Neo?
No, only Enter the Matrix.
Okay, yeah, because I had both. I had Enter the Matrix, and I played that for years and years. And then much later, I got Path of Neo. I do recommend playing that. Actually, rewatching this and all the Matrix stuff, I'm going to plug back in my PlayStation 2 and play the Path of Neo, because it's great being Neo. You can do this really stupid move where you can grab two people and use them as nunchucks on a third guy. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Right, directing. I think the opening scene is still great, where at the time they do that thing no one had ever seen before, where Carrie-Anne Moss, who plays Trinity, jumps in the air and kicks a cop across the room. The jump is all done in super slow motion. We've seen slow motion done before, but just with a static camera. But with this, the camera tracks all the way around the jump, which we had never seen before. And now you see it all in all the big movies of today.
Now it's everywhere. It's kind of oversaturation now of bullet time.
Yeah.
Slow motion, and the camera's got to move around the character and stuff.
But with this, they've used cameras like all the way around Carrie-Anne Moss in this green screen, like still cameras. So that was kind of a really innovative. That was a very like new technology at the time.
Okay, Porky Pig.
It's still. Yes, fuck you. It still looks awesome over 20 years later, but I think my favourite bit of the action scene is when Trinity does this like Superman dive through a window travelling miles, then immediately feels the need to draw both her guns after such a brilliant action spectacle. Like, no, you're fine, but it makes the agents feel like really dangerous, even though we haven't really seen what they're truly capable of yet. It's just a great opening action scene.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant when you actually see what they're capable of. And the first inclination you get of that is where their meeting gets disrupted because Cypher has betrayed them, and the police are after them, and the police shoots through the wall and then turns into Agent Smith. and he has a huge fight with Morpheus. So Morpheus, he's just like the best character. He knows everything. He's good at everything. He's trying to make sure that Neo, becomes the one. And always confident, always in control, and he gets utterly demolished by Agent Smith. That's always a great scene. I just really love that scene, how it's done. It's pretty brutal. It's still well choreographed, but it is brutal. He beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, great acting by Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. It makes you definitely respect Morpheus, because my favourite bit of that choreography is where he's smacking him down on the ground. He hits him on the ground. It's like, bang. And then Hugo Weaving like kicks him in the chest and launches him up into the wall.
Oh yeah,
and he's but then he just stands back up and is like, uses that momentum to carry on fighting. You're like, good God, man.
I love the sequence where Neo gets unplugged from the Matrix, where this like mirror visual effect that's fairly common in movies of this era in the 90s. And it goes up Neo's arm and the camera shot goes down Neo's throat. Then cut to this kind of steampunk, cyborg, dark sci-fi tank with translucent goo everywhere. It's incredible.
Yeah, I also love the I love the sound design. You've got to mention that. Like as he's basically like, and then he starts screaming, and it goes from a scream into a dial-up modem sort of sound.
Yeah.
Like an electronic dial-up sound. It's just incredible, and then he wakes up.
Again, like very 90s technology written into the script, you know. And then Keanu Reeves has all these like cables coming out of him, which looks really horrible and disgusting. Then the shots kind of get wider and wider, and he's part of these huge skyscrapers. The music gets more and more epic with the use of these operatic voices. And it's just an incredible contrast to what we've just seen, a huge jump in the look of the world. Also, I like the use of the mirror-looking CGI before he gets unplugged, because it just works so well in the sequence. Just like in Terminator 2, they use the CGI with the same effect. And I feel like the filmmakers know their limitations with the use of this technology, because it's still very new. And, you know, and they don't overuse it, where unfortunately they overuse it in the CGI in the sequels. But yeah, it's just a great moment in the film. Just huge contrast in design. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. I do love the contrast between the real world and the Matrix. Like, everything in the Matrix has a sort of slight sort of off... I mean, it looks like our world. It is basically, you know, it looks like our world. But it's always like a neo-noir world. It's always raining, and it's always very gritty. And there's this kind of like greenish tint to it.
Yeah, there's a green tinge to everything.
Yeah, like green is everywhere. Of the reality of the situation, the Matrix is green code. It is literally, you know,
so
green.
Clever.
Yeah, and how the real world is, you know, it looks horrible. You know, it looks like and it's just great, like how everybody's dressed so nicely, like so stylishly in the Matrix, and they know kung fu, and it's all done like you know, Bruce Lee movies. And then you go to the real world, and it's just nothing looks great, nothing is graceful. It's all very metallic and blue, and I love that contrast. It's blue, and it's.
But what's great about that, the real world looks real. It really does look real. There's no like tinge there.
No.
Everything has like natural colours to it.
Yeah.
So it's just so clever, that. Yeah. I found it very difficult to choose what my favourite shot was, like what my favourite action scene was. There are two that are amazing. But this one, not my favourite, but like is still really cool, is the action scene when Neo and Trinity shoot up the lobby near the end.
Yeah.
It's just pure gun porn and a massive tribute to like Hong Kong cinema, to things like, you know, Hard Boiled, etc. Plus, in this scene, they make like wire work look really good. There's so many bad examples, but in the context of this film where you can bend the rules of physics, it just works on a tonal level alone. And plus, it looks so fucking stylish.
Yeah.
Like the slow motion running, following Neo's boots and watching all these like shell casings bounce on the ground is so satisfying to watch.
And just how like all the walls are just basically exploding. There's debris everywhere. Just so much. The soundtrack as well. It's just incredible music, incredible scene. It looks phenomenal. Just some really great choreography as well, like action stuff. One of my favorite bits has got to be where Trinity has run out of ammunition, and this guy is shooting at Neo with a shotgun, and she kicks the stock, and it basically backflips behind his back. She catches it and shoots him in the back. It's such a cool move, you know.
And the moment at the end with a piece of pillar that falls down is funny, when it's just like a nice simple wide shot. And then you think like nothing can beat that for gun porn. Nope. Neo rocks up on a massive helicopter wielding a massive minigun and shoots the hell out of that building. Then the scale of the action goes up another notch with the incredible helicopter stunts and explosions. Just an incredible spectacle at the end. Again, like we were talking, that we've spoken about many times, this film saves the best action stuff for the end.
For the end, yeah. And especially, I would even say, like, one-on-one action scene, because you see a few of them, you know, Trinity at the beginning, running away from the agent, Morpheus against Agent Smith, and then towards the end, you get Neo against Agent Smith at the... and I'm sorry, I forgot another one. Neo against Morpheus, the Kung Fu program. So you get all these like solo one-on-one fights, just using martial arts, not gunplay.
Yeah.
Inspired by classic Hong Kong movies. But then the best one, I think, is the last one with Neo versus Agent Smith. It's just such a great battle. It shows his progression as a character, and just it's so well choreographed. There's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it was a little on the nose, though, with the spaghetti western start, but but what I liked about it is the fact that it feels very evenly matched, but then, like, Smith gradually gets the upper hand and is dominating with, like, the flurry of punches when it kind of blurs. It just puts into doubt, is he actually the one? But I love the moment when Agent Smith catches Neo's arm and just before he hits him in the throat, and then Neo sticks out his fingers and catches him on the throat. And he goes, ugh! That was funny. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I've never seen any like fight scene do that ever before.
No.
It's so weird. It's such a weird thing. Like your hand stops just before the neck, and then you just like, ah!
Yeah.
If anything, that just looks like it's kind of annoying. It doesn't look like it would be fatal. Stop it.
Then when Neo seemingly escapes Smith, instead of the characters on the hovercraft just watching Neo trying to escape, you now have double jeopardy where the Sentinels are now hunting them down and cutting through the hull of the ship. Plus Neo trying to desperately get to the phone. All the characters are now in danger, which is just brilliant writing. And then when Neo, comes back to life after he gets shot, then the action is just so cool where, Neo just fights Smith with one hand and stops all the bullets in midair. Just really, really cool. Never before seen action. That's what you want in great cinema, things you've never seen before, and this film delivers that in spades, really.
Yeah, it does it again and again and again just throughout the film.
Favorite shot, favorite action scene, or favorite scene? What are you going with?
Yeah, so I would say favorite scene is probably the lobby fight. Favorite shot. Do you know, actually, I like when he actually gets shot by Smith. That always shocked me as like, he gets to the door, opens the door, ring, 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 opens the door, and you just see a flash, like he's there, and a flash. You don't even see the gun, flash. And then he looks down, and it's like, and then Smith's right there, and just bang, 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 bang. It's quite simple, but it's still an incredibly effective, especially how it's all done. Like, as I was saying, like, it's the sound design, it's the music as well, but how it's, ring, ring, and, intense music. It's starting to peter off because it's like he's nearly succeeded. The machines are there. He needs to get to the phone, get shot, and just all the music cuts out, and it's just natural sounds of him dying, and it's just like. Oh,
I mean, they definitely slow down the gun sound effects and make it quite quiet as well when he shoots Neo.
Yeah,
and then go back to normal speed when he just opens out all the clips.
Yeah,
where it opens out the clip.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a great scene, and it should be great because I mean, it's building up all this that he's the Messiah, he's the savior, and then he's dead, and you're like, oh shit, and they're gonna die. Oh no.
For me, though, I think my favourite action scene is the fight between Neo and Morpheus. In the training program, is always great to watch. The fighting is so smooth and slick, and so is the camera work.
Stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Both elements work in unison so well, but what I love most about it actually on these rewatches is the music changes. At first it's with this very traditional like Asian music with lots of deep drums, and then when Mouse says Morpheus is fighting Neo and everyone rushes into the control room to watch, and the music changes to this like techno fast-paced music. It's just a really cool music change and it just works so well. Then to end, when Neo wins, you get this great like fusion between score and the traditional music, the traditional Asian music. Like, this is going to be like a cool, like serious narrative progression for the character, all done mostly with music. It's just really, really great scene to watch. Never get bored of that.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you some other good shots that are really good. That upon further rewatches, you go, oh wow, that was a damn good shot that doesn't get enough talk about. When he goes into the jump program, that was fucking cool.
Yeah.
They're in just a white void, where they load, training programs. And it just goes, they're just falling, like, at the end of this white void, like millions of miles below, is the city. So it's like, and then they're basically on the building, and then the camera shoots back up at the same speed. it's a really disorienting scene. You're like, what the hell did I just see? You know?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. And the helicopter clashing into the building. That was pretty awesome.
So, directing score, what are you going for?
Oh man, I'll go major high on this because I love this film and I still get a kick out of watching it again and again.
Yeah.
I'd go like a 9.6 or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because like all the breaking of physics rules, if you will, in the action, it doesn't look jarring at all because it makes sense in this world. So it's all written into the script, all written into the direction as well. So you can just do what you want, but it doesn't look too crazy. It still looks amazing. Like everything about like both worlds, the Matrix and the real world, is so well realized. It's got so much detail to it. So
I think they're very distinct, and there are even like distinct styles of shot. And how you film the scene, if it's in the Matrix or if it's in the real world.
So I'll go 9.4, I think. So screenplay then. I mean, I always found that the romance Trinity and Neo have is a little thin, but on a rewatch, it works more and more for me. Because in the opening moments, the seeds are sown for their relationship in the opening dialogue scene, where you have green numbers like fluttering on the screen, and Trinity wants to go into the Matrix, even though it's not her shift to seek out the one. And Cypher says, "You like him, don't you? You like watching him." And then Trinity says, "Don't be ridiculous." I found that her love for Neo is not front and center of the story, but it's more subtle. It's the more subtle part of the story.
Yeah.
A look here and there from Trinity and Neo, certainly reactions from Trinity watching Neo in the Matrix. I noticed more.
When he fails the jump program and you can see she's like, like that.
Yeah.
And then when Cypher is like, everybody fails the first chunk, isn't that right, Trin? And she's helping him out, get out of the simulation. So it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or I like, whereas like, what did the Oracle tell you? And she's about to say, but then kind of stops herself. And I even like when he goes to see the Oracle and it's like, you're much handsomer than I thought you were going to be. I can see why she likes you. He's like, what? He's like, you're not too bright though. This is really great.
I think because the world is so well realized with so much detail, the idea that the film tries to tell you is that whatever you can believe, the mind can believe too. So for me, Trinity gives him the belief through love that he can come back to life at the end. So I think that's what's brilliant about that scene is that you can't really explain it very well through words like I'm demonstrating, but only through kind of what you see in the film through Trinity and Neo's relationship. So they don't make it terribly obvious how Neo comes back to life. Which I quite like, that there's a lot of ambiguity there still. But you've got that ambiguity because the worlds are so well realized, I mean, did you have a problem with that?
What, with love bringing him back to life?
Yeah, him coming back to life in general,
I mean, the fact that it was like there were Jesus parallels
throughout
constantly with, Jesus and Neo and being the one and Jesus. And there's constant parallels. I mean, Jesus died, right? So, it's like, and came back to life. So it's like, this is probably going to happen. So, I don't have any problem with him coming back to life, if that's what you're saying. And the moment which he did, it's just right at the end. And you think that he is the one at this point, and he dies, but then he comes back with true powers, like the true one power. It's not like, he's a bit better at fighting and all this other stuff that he was demonstrating before. No, he is full on a god now. He can do whatever the hell he likes. The fact that that's linked into love, I mean, there again, you're saying there's subtle clues that there's there's a romance thing, there's a love thing going on, and that love being the one. I mean, it's a bit corny, but like whatever.
I don't think it's corny. I think it's quite well subtly written into the script because it's not front and center.
It's not front and center. Yeah, it's kind of one of these things that's revealed. Well, basically, she says to him at the end when he dies, "The Oracle told me that I would be in love with a dead man, and that man would be the one. So you can't be dead because I love you." And kisses him, and then boom, he's alive. I think there is kind of an explanation. I've been like well into like Matrix lore, and I think this is the problem because if we were to pick the second Matrix, the second one at the end does explain everything, but it's done in the worst exposition scene that has ever been put to cinema.
Yeah. The architect.
The architect.
Yeah.
The architect literally does explain why everything happens and why it happened the way it did, but they needed to rewrite that because he used every word in the English language except words that people use, you know? So,
and it's so monotone. Like
it's monotone, and he's using so much archaic speech, you know, like vis-a-vis, concurrently, you know, ergo, da 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 da. You got no fucking idea what he's talking about. That scene has been parodied like hell, and I think for a lot of people, the Matrix sequels make no sense, and I've had to like constantly explain because it is explained. Like the entire series is explained logically in this one scene in 2, but it's so hard to fucking decipher. But that's another kettle of fish. I think they dropped the ball with that. But yeah, but this one, the pacing and the explanation is pretty good. He's a cyber Jesus, and obviously it's love that resurrects this cyber Jesus. So you know.
I mean, I really don't mind the fact that most of this film is exposition and world building because the exposition and world building is so compelling and amazing to watch. But what I really liked about the exposition or the backstory scene in the White Room is the film kind of flips the whole humans being dependent on AI thing on its head, because we've seen so many AI films where in some part of the story humans have become dependent on machines and they kind of turn on them or whatever. But in this film's backstory, after the war, the humans blotted out the sun with, you know, CO2 gases, nuclear gases or whatever. So the machines lost their source of power. So the AI machines in this film have to breed humans because they have their own natural source of heat.
Yeah.
And I quite like it when Morpheus says, "Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony."
Yeah, no, I think that's a brilliant point because again, most sci-fi films, it's like we invent machines and we rely on machines. In this, the machines basically they wiped out mankind. They are reinventing man. They are growing men in test tubes because they need them to survive. It's like whoa, very very trippy premise, and
so original.
Yeah, it's very.
And it's
original.
like the filmmakers are like, "Yep, we are doing something completely new here that you've never seen before."
Yeah, definitely.
And then at the end, he says, "The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this." Morpheus is then holding up a battery. You know, the backstory is so well constructed and told that you feel you can tell that the filmmakers have spent an awful lot of time working out all the fine details in this story, and nothing is left unturned in the concept of this world. And that's why the whole prophecy and the one storyline works so well as it does, because it's not bogged down by you trying to still work out what these worlds are. The world is so well realized that there's enough room for your imagination and wonderment that you get all the cool, you know, Neo stuff at the end, that you can enjoy all that. You know.
And, you know, I think there's there's many other like speeches, and I mean, this film kind of excels in, as I think you were saying, like exposition giving, but it does it in such an entertaining way, and it's phrased so well, and it's done in all these scenes where it's really nice. It's like it's world building, but it's kind of like poetry as well, just how they explain things. I love when Smith goes over the history of the Matrix and basically is trying to give an impassioned analysis of his like contempt for mankind, but you know,
like a virus.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're like a virus, and I absolutely love that because he's like, you know, the first Matrix was designed as a perfect world where everyone would be happy. It was a disaster. Entire crops were lost. It's like humans only excel in misery. You know, a perfect world. You'd always try to wake up from. I just love that shit. That we're a virus and all this other stuff. It's great. There's also, you know, obviously some, what's her face? The Oracle. I love her scenes.
Oh, I love her scenes.
I think she's great.
We could literally do a whole podcast on that scene.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack, and even rewatching it, I found more stuff to unpack. I love bits where she's like, oh, where she's like, don't worry about the vase. And he's like, what vase? And turns around and knocks over a vase. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, don't worry about it. And he's like, so how did you know? He goes, here's the kicker. Would you have still knocked it over had I not told you about it? You know, it's like, what?
Yeah, I love that scene.
That's a great scene.
Where Neo meets the Oracle, and she's She's this very underwhelming grandmother type who loves to bake cookies.
Yeah. Did you notice the pun there, that she bakes cookies?
No.
Cookies on computers, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're on the internet, you get a cookie, right?
Yeah,
That's incredible,
the
right?
The script is so detailed.
It's so tight. There's just like little Easter eggs everywhere, and little double meanings, triple meanings. It's so well done.
And she's basically says to him that you're not the one by telling him exactly what he needs to hear to become the one.
Yeah,
and like foreshadows pretty much everything that's going to happen later on in the film.
Yeah, I think she does it in a brilliant way because she says like you're not the one, but then things that she says offhand do end up being true because he goes, she goes, oh yeah, you're not the one, sorry kid. She goes, you look like you're waiting for something, and he goes, what? He goes, your next life maybe. And I just love that because it's like he is going to die and be the one in his next life. It's like, whoa, that's just crazy. Like, it's a throwaway line, but it's actually like...
Yeah, and she says things like, you got the gift, but it looks like you're waiting for something. Yeah, your next life, maybe. Who knows? And of course, at the end, Neo dies and comes back to life because Trinity and Neo fall in love. It's great writing, but my favourite piece of foreshadowing is when she says, don't worry about the vase, you know, that whole scene there at the start. And then Neo knocks over the vase, breaks it, and asks, how did you know? Then she says... what's really going to break your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I had said anything? And it's such a great line because it tells you that Neo still has to become the one himself, no matter what people say to him to try and help him. And the Oracle telling Neo he's not the one doesn't matter anyway. It's all up to him to be the one when it matters. The most important part of the scene is hidden right at the start with the vase. Like, the rest of the scene is kind of all nonsense, really. As I said, we could do a whole podcast on that scene. It's just brilliant.
There's so much detail in that scene. Just about the themes of the movie, about fate and determinism and free will and destiny and nihilism and just all kinds of shit going on, you know, love and religion and stuff.
But that's what I found about that scene. For me, the most important part is that little vase bit, but it's kind of hidden at the start. Like, the rest of it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just that bit.
Because what I think is pretty cool is at the start and through a lot of the film, he is being told he's the one, but he's not a very believing person. I love when he first meets Morpheus and he goes, do you believe in fate, Neo? He's like, no, why not? Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my own damn life, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like...
we are not anyway, man. It's all fake.
Yeah. Well, it's all digital. But I love that it's basically he has to make the choice. So it's kind of meant to be a compromise between these two things. Yeah, he's destined, but only if he chooses to.
Then when Morpheus gets captured, Tank and Trinity think the only way to save Zion is to pull the plug on Morpheus because Morpheus has all the codes to the Zion mainframe. But Neo's like, no, he's starting to believe that he can save him because he thinks Morpheus is more important than he is, which brings out the awesome action in Neo's abilities to save the day. But if he was told by the Oracle that he was the one, they would have pulled the plug on Morpheus because there would be no point risking his life for someone that's less important than he is. Yeah. Just such great writing there. And just like a story sense.
Yeah, definitely. And also it's him, he has to make the decision because she says to him, you know, you'll have to choose between, you know, Morpheus's life or your own. And he goes there and he saves Morpheus and he does end up dying. So he does make this, you know, choice to be his salvation. Because again, she could have just said, yeah, you're going to be the one if you die for a self-sacrifice. And then you're going to be... Well, it's not really a selfless sacrifice if he knows he's going to...
Yeah, exactly.
You know, come back at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? But he thinks now he's just a regular guy and he's doing this because it's the right thing. And he might die. He's probably going to die. And he still does it. So, and that's what makes him worthy.
As well as this script being just a great story, it's just got so many kick-ass lines. There's so many... No, Lieutenant, your men are already dead.
Yeah.
At the start.
Yeah. I love the, you know, we were talking about the dojo fight scene. How did I beat you? Do you think my strength or my speed has anything to do with my muscles? Because you think that's air you're breathing now? Like, he gets that a lot, you know. Apparently, Lawrence Fishburne, a lot of people come up to him and he keeps saying to them, do you think that's air you're breathing now? And they go, ah! They lose their shit when they sit there.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember this whole thing, there was a thing on the internet, because obviously at this time the internet was quite new. And everyone thought it was Samuel Jackson in the film.
Oh, yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah.
Not Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
It got to a point where literally Samuel Jackson has got a T-shirt of him saying, like, I am not Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. He did that on a televised advert. Well, no, not an advert, an interview, where the interviewer said, like, he'd done this commercial where he had played Morpheus. And he was asking him about the commercial where he had played Morpheus. And he was like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, I'm not Lawrence Fishburne. I'm not Morgan Freeman either. You know, he's just going, just really embarrassing, this guy.
Oh, that's funny. You have a social security number. You pay your taxes, and you help your landlady carry out her garbage.
I love how he says that, because he looks like he's really kind of disgusted. He's like, yeah, all right, you know.
Tell me, Mr. Anderson, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
Yeah, that's a great line.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. It means buckle up your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
Yeah. He goes, if you had told us the truth, we would have told you to shove that red pill right up your ass.
Yeah.
Was another line I really like. I like the Morpheus where he goes like, so this isn't real, and he's like, real? How do you define real? Are you talking about what you can taste, touch, and smell? If that's real, then real is just electrical impulses interpreted by your brain. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, that's
Mindfuck.
Mindfuck, yeah.
Welcome to the desert of the real. Tank downloading Neo's combat training and says, hey Mikey, I think he likes it. How about some more? Hell yes.
Yeah. I know
kung fu.
Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah,
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
yeah, that's brilliant.
What are you trying to tell me? I can dodge bullets? No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
It's just some brilliant lines.
One of the funniest ones, when Mouse is trying to hook up Neo with the red woman.
Oh, yeah, that
and
was
Switch says, digital pimp, hard at work.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, you piece of shit, you're still gonna burn.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think almost the whole cast gets great lines.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet.
And you are the
You are a plague. And we are the cure.
Yeah. I love, because I'll get this in that acting, actually. No, I'll get it here, fuck it, whatever. But, you know, I love where, like, Agent Smith, I just love him as a villain.
Yeah.
I think he's a great villain as well.
Hugo
Weaving is just brilliant. But how he's, like, so calm and controlled and monotone, and he's in charge, and he's dispassionate through most of the film. And as the film goes on, he just hates being here. He hates the Matrix. He hates humans. He hates everything. He just doesn't want to be around, you know, like everything disgusts him. And I just love how he gets more and more pissed off and irritated, and just that facade of control just goes down. And the best scene of that is where he can't interrogate Morpheus, and he's like, leave me with him, and takes out his plug.
Oh, yeah,
Just
yeah.
like, I hate this place. You know, this prison, this zoo, this reality, whatever you want to call it. I can't stand it any longer. It's the smell. Even if there is such a thing, you know, it's just like, I just love that. I love that characterization of him as like, he's meant to be this faceless machine, this like Terminator thing. And then it's like, no, he really doesn't like it here.
Yeah, he shows some great individuality from the rest of the agents, and kind of really great progression.
They literally are faceless machines. He's just one of them. But then he does, at that scene onwards, you know, he separates himself out from the herd. He's very emotional. He's incredibly emotional, but he's trying to hold it back.
Yeah, he's showing lots of anger, and you don't expect it to see this, and you don't expect it from like a computer program. But again, it's this development of like AI through Weaving's acting, which is great. The way he like delivers those lines, you know, that he's just sick and tired of the Matrix and just wants to consume everything is brilliant. Plus, the way Fishburne looks like he's about to throw up on Hugo Weaving is just great too.
Yeah.
Showing the whites of his eyes like Brucey in the last week.
Yeah. He's got eyes like a doll's eyes.
Back to lines, obviously, dodge this, blows the agent away,
that's
Trinity, that's cool. But my favourite, I think, is just a simple one, which they say in John Wick as well. Guns. Lots of guns.
Yeah. That yeah, I think that was the greatest homage to that film. Yeah, it's what you're going to need. Guns. Lots of guns.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite from the list?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've touched on like most of the script, essentially. I think we've just transcribed the entire script. We've just said it all. But
if you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I think I would pick like Hugo Weaving and just him. Actually, his speech about human beings being a cancer or a disease, that's really great.
Oh, right, yeah, that's cool.
That's really great.
So score, Baz, what are you going for screenplay?
Oh, man, I would go stupid high, just because of how I can quote most of this movie, and like a lot of the dialogue is quoted everywhere. It's such a quotable film. I'm going to go stupid high. You're going to think I'm insane. I'm going to go 9.8.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
I was thinking the same, pretty much. There is one negative I have of the script, though, is with Cypher's character, because you get this kind of intrigue that he's not a fan of the real world. He is like Agent Smith. He's getting a bit sick and tired of the real world. And like he tells Neo that when Morpheus is telling him he's the one, he's like, man, how can you handle that shit? You know, that must be crazy.
Yeah.
So you get the sense that he could be dodgy, but then literally the next scene it tells you, oh yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe that could have been handled better, because from that onward, where they're going to see the Oracle and it's building up, oh, everything's fine. It's like, you know that nothing is fine. You know nothing is fine because Cypher is a bad guy. You know that. You know, so it's like where they get betrayed and they get Amber, you know this is going to happen. But I think maybe that could be in its favor, because you're like, oh, when's it going to happen? You know, this is definitely going to happen.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
It is pretty on the nose that he's a bad guy. I think even at the start, you know, the first time you meet him, he's a surly motherfucker. He hates it working in this crew, you know, you could tell. He's also very negative. Anything that Neo is doing, like, he doesn't believe he's the one. He doesn't believe in any of this shit. He doesn't think he's going to do the fight program. He doesn't think he's going to do the jump program. He's just very negative about everything. But and then I like his talk with Neo. Neo should have just immediately clocked on and told Morpheus. He should have told him. But maybe because he was the new guy or whatever. But he's like, you know, I know exactly what you're thinking. And he's like, what? Why oh why didn't I take the blue pill?
Yeah. It's just the juxtaposition of the fact that you get asked the question, oh, this guy could be dodgy, and then literally the next scene it's answered, he is.
Yeah, it's just, for definite he is, yeah.
I'll go like 9.5. Acting then. On this rewatch, I found that Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving's performances are very similar, especially noticeable before we get to the real world. Like Weaving as this agent program, like the cops of the Matrix. Weaving has this very like controlled, calm persona about his acting, and when you first meet Fishburne's Morpheus, the acting style is very similar, but he's like this mentor type hero character for Neo. But I think both performances are like this because they're not under this veil that the Matrix has over everyone else, especially like Neo at this point. Their performances make them stand out from everyone else. Plus, again, like what we were saying on Jaws with Robert Shaw, Fishburne's performance is so captivating when he's describing what the real world is and what the Matrix actually is, that you just don't need like a sneak peek into this world at this point in the film that you would imagine you'd need for such a complex world like this that needs a lot of explaining. But no, all you need is Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, Fishburne does a great job. I also think like his personality between being in the Matrix and being in the real world is different. Like he's again a lot more reserved in the Matrix, a lot cooler. Just everything is, well, he oozes cool in the Matrix. Very in control, tells you how it is, very sort of emotionless, but also like, you know, he's a leader. You know, he tells you to do this, you do it. You know, and he's also quite mysterious. But in the real world, he's very, you know, you see even just his physical acting, he's more at ease, he's more informal, you know, he's a lot more kind and caring, he's understanding, he's trying to explain things, you know, as best he can. He looks a little more vulnerable. I just, you know, I like that. Because as you were saying, like, you know, Morpheus and Agent Smith are essentially very similar in how they act when you see them in the Matrix to start with. They're, again, you know, just these unmovable forces. They're very much in control. They're very mysterious. But over the course of the film, I think I think more than Agent Smith and Neo, they're more juxtaposed.
Yeah.
They're essentially the same character. One is for the side of the Matrix, one is for the resistance, human resistance. But as I'm saying, like as the film goes on, they both have that calm, leader-like gravitas to start with.
Yeah.
But then Agent Smith turns into like he's just a surly, mean dickhead. That kind of falls away, and actually he is really aggressive. He's almost not got control of his rage and disgust. So that kind of falls away. Whereas Morpheus, when you see him in the real world and onwards, he's a much more vulnerable character. So I think there is like they start off at the same point, but then they kind of go different ways with their
kind of like
their
this
acting.
hope is being realized through Neo.
Yeah. And that's making, I think, Morpheus softer, but making Agent Smith like more
Angrier.
hot-headed, hot-headed and angry. Yeah. So I think by the end there is a definite difference in their performances, but I think they start off at the same point.
I love the moment from Lawrence Fishburne again when he kicks Keanu Reeves through the wooden beam in the training program and leans forward and says, "You think that's air you're breathing now?" We kind of said that before,
but it's
I
brilliant.
love the way he does this subtle smirk and then like looks away a few times, and it's just a great funny moment for the character.
Yeah. No, I like that.
In a fairly humorous film,
Yeah.
but it's just a great moment of levity.
I think it's a really funny bit. Just how he does the facial acting of that. How he's like, it's just kind of like he's amused at the naivety here. It's like, I can't believe I used to be this stupid. It's like it's quite nice. It's quite cute.
Favorite performance by us?
Do you know? I think I'll go Lawrence Fishburne actually.
Yeah, that's mine as well.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne. I think he just has this quality to this film that can't be matched.
Yeah, I don't think it's something you can really put your finger on it. It's just as soon as he's on the screen. Like you hear about this legend of Morpheus. He's looking for Morpheus. Morpheus wants him. You hear him on the phone. But when he actually meets Morpheus, it's like this myth, that's been built up, and he doesn't disappoint. He's just he seems like a mythical character. You see him and you're like, holy shit. This is the guy. This guy looks incredible. He sounds incredible. How he's talking.
That's why I do feel a little bit gutted that he's not in the new one.
Yeah, no, so do I.
Resurrection.
Yeah, so do I.
It's a bit like, really? Couldn't get Lawrence back?
Yeah, no, and I was even hearing in an interview is like he wasn't even asked. So it's not like he was, fired or had a falling out. He still gets on well with them. Or not that he said he wouldn't do it. Just, they never asked him.
So it'll be interesting where that film goes without Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Score bars, what are you going for acting?
Oh, I'll go... Yeah, we haven't really mentioned Keanu Reeves all that much in any of these films. I think he becomes like the side character in his own movie.
I mean, he's really good in this because all he has to do is just look really cool.
Yeah.
And he's so good at doing that.
Through this film, through the first half, he looks confused, and then the second half just looked cool. And, he's got that down to a T. That's just his like natural thing. It's like, what? Yeah. Or, yeah. So those are his two emotions, and he plays those pretty well.
I mean, when he's doing these like kung fu moves just before he's about to fight Lawrence Fishburne, it does look a bit weird. But with the expressions on his face, I'm like, tone it down a bit, mate. Just look cool, not weird.
So where would I be on the thing? I'm gonna go. I think it's really well acted. I'm gonna tone it down a bit though. I'm gonna go like 8.8.
I'm not sure I'd go that high.
Yeah, I think that is pretty high actually.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that's really high. I'll go like 8.1 actually.
I think Carrie-Anne Moss is great as Trinity as well. We haven't really talked about her.
Yeah, we haven't
much,
talked
but
about her much.
she brings some great girl power, great kick-ass action as well.
Yeah.
Especially in that opening scene, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
And obviously, there is a lot of characters in this, and a lot of like crew members of the never the ship.
You are such a Porky Pig, man. I don't mean you. Like...
I don't like that name. What does that even mean? I don't know. Nebuchadnezzar. There you go.
Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah. It's in the Bible, actually. It's kind of funny because of how every name sort of has meaning. But Morpheus is a god in Greek mythology, and he's the god of dreams.
Oh, really?
And the Nebuchadnezzar is a king in the Bible who had a very strange dream. Like God gave him a really freaky dream.
What, like he was a hovercraft?
Yeah. Actually, he was a tree. He was a tree. He had a thing. He was a tree. But a hovercraft would have been amazing.
So I'll go 8.3, I think. Right, let's add up the scores for The Matrix. Right, The Matrix gets a very, very healthy score of 54.7. So that goes in 6th place between Blade Runner 2049 and Toy Story 2 and Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
So we are now going to take a break for Christmas. So we might be back around the 15th of January, and we might be looking at relating our podcast to Scream 5. I know it's only just called Scream, but it's Scream 5.
Yeah. Well, it's just this unhealthy obsession
annoying.
of movies making sequels and not putting a subtitle or a number. You know, it's really starting to piss me off. Like, too many films are doing this. It's really bothering me. At least with The Matrix, they had the goddamn decency to put Resurrections. They just put Matrix. You know, it pissed me off.
So we might relate that one to Wes Craven films. So that's not confirmed yet, but that's what it is at the moment. And obviously you might be thinking, oh, you got to be doing a Spider-Man one, because obviously there's a huge Spider-Man film coming out soon.
I think we've done like all the Spider-Man films, right?
But we have done a lot of Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
So
what ones are we missing, actually? I think we've done Spider-Man 2. We've done Amazing Spider-Man. Have we done
Far From Home?
Have we done Homecoming?
No,
we
we've
haven't
done
done
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse. So that's 4 of them.
Yeah, so check out our Spider-Man films episode, Tom Holland, Emma Stone. Those ones pretty much for our Spider-Man episodes. So yeah, have a nice Christmas and we'll see you in the new year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.